Hello, I'm Christian. I'm the founder and CEO of USDC, Urban Society Design Consultancy in Shanghai. And today I'd love to share my story about how I came to Shanghai, what I love about Shanghai and China, and of course about entrepreneurship and hopefully about urban design as well. So as you can see, we're in the so-called nice commune, which is a commune close to Sipinglu, very close to the Tongji College for Design and Education. And we do a lot of projects together. So I work with the Chengdu University College for Design and Education on urban design and education projects. And the nice commune, which we see here, I think is a great example of applying urban design to change society. So the main question is, how do we bring young people back into the old lanes? How do we connect the generations, young people, families and children, and the old people, and create something new out of the old? And you can see that there's a modern cafe here, there are different design studios, there's the Fablab, the Maker Lab here. Aston Martin has a showroom where they experiment and experience together with the community. We have cooking classes in a partnership with Haier and different companies. So it's really bringing, let's say, business opportunities for entrepreneurships into the lanes, while at the same time also respecting the existing community. So not disrupting it too much. We also have to be aware of, for example, gentrification, that we don't, if only young people move in with higher salaries, then the prices go up and the old people wouldn't be able to afford it. So we also have to be very sensitive about challenges like gentrification and how do we combine that in the best possible way through design. I founded my company USDC, Urban Society Design Consultancy, around 2 years ago. I came to China in 2017 with a British leadership organization, but after a while I said I have to found my own company to combine design, urban design, with also organizational transformation. So what I do in USDC is a part, 50% roughly, I work with big organizations, with companies like Porsche, like Volkswagen, different Chinese companies as well, for their leadership and organizational and culture transformation through design thinking. So the other part I do is I teach at different organizations and universities. So I teach at the Alibaba Business School in Hangzhou, different programs worldwide with students and teachers. I teach at Jiaotong at the Global EBA program. I teach at Tongji, and I teach in Japan future trends, how to be a futurist. And I think I love this mixture of teaching and applying it at the same time. The business model of my company is really mixed, because on the one hand we do commercial projects with companies like Porsche, like IKEA, in their organizational transformation, workshops with Nike and Converse on transforming the culture, leadership development, talent development, etc., through design thinking. But then I do projects which have more of a social impact. So for example, I'm working on a project with establishing co-living as a model. So really changing, how do we live, how do we work together, how does society change by co-creating, co-living and co-working together. Well, the future of my company is really, I think, also redefining what success means. I've worked in the corporate world for over 20 years for I've worked for Daimler, I've worked for Siemens in the headquarters in Germany. I was 10 years at Adidas. And I think this was the point where it also started to change, where it's not just doing your job and getting money for it, getting a salary for it, but more asking what is the impact you can have on society? How can you change things? How do you leave something behind which is more purposeful and more meaningful? To be honest, not really. I think really, you remember John Lennon once said, you make plans and then life happens. So I really believe that nowadays you have to be agile and flexible. You have to see the opportunities and grab them instead of, making big Excel plans and planning 5 years ahead and then everything changes. And I think agility and the capability to adjust, to see opportunities, to grasp, to change what you're doing, I think this is one of the most important things nowadays. And I think this is actually one of my core competencies, to live this flexibility, this agility, and to teach others how to do that as well. Well, I mean, maybe an issue is that my Chinese is not as good as it should be. I'm still working on that, but I have to say, first of all, most of my friends are Chinese. I'm very embedded in the culture. I don't live in one of these gated communities, but I live in a lane house, really in the middle of the city with lots of the lovely eyes and the Chinese people there. So I try to stay away from this expat bubble and really be embedded, working with Chinese, going out with Chinese, eating Chinese. I mean, my wife is Chinese, I have a half Chinese son, so I think I'm very deeply embedded in the Chinese and Shanghainese culture and try to apply that as well. My team is mostly Chinese, so especially, I mean, most of them, they lived abroad, they studied abroad, so they speak Chinese and English. But this is great because our programs we have to deliver in English and in Chinese as well. So we work with a more international team or a Chinese team with an international background here. So my competitors in this area are actually not so many, because in my opinion design thinking is still quite not so well known and still underrated and undervalued in China. So there are not so many companies that actually offer design thinking as really and for organizational transformation. And also I think there were a lot of trainers there, and I always jokingly say I don't do trainings, but I do facilitation, which is a different thing. So facilitation means working with the culture, working with the leadership, but bringing that they co-create their future, and I don't really tell them what to do. So I think it's a different approach here. This is why I don't see it as competition. I often see it as partnership. So I work with many different organizations, I work with many different facilitators from all different kinds of business, and I really see that more as an opportunity to collaborate and co-create instead of thinking competition. So we also work with international clients, with German companies from automotive to furniture design to sports brands, but I also work with Chinese companies. So through the Alibaba network, we help Chinese companies go more international. If they want to expand into the European or the American market, what do they need to learn about culture change, about behavior, about different design, how is design and usability being perceived in different countries. I think Saturn Bird is a great example, the successful Chinese coffee company who reinvented themselves. We help them through design thinking to grow internationally. I coach and mentor Chinese companies to develop their leadership, develop their culture as well. So it's really a mix of international and Chinese companies and partners we work with. Of course, we have projects with the government as well, with the Shanghai government. We end of last year, we won the competition of Tongji and Shanghai government for the rejuvenation of North Bund of Tilanshao. How can we bring, through design, through innovation, new life to the community? So we developed a modular living and working model, which won the first prize there. So I'd like to take you into the Fablab now in the nice Commune. So this is the Fablab.